Hey everyone, how's it going? Five Finger Shuffle here, and we are back with another video. Today what I want to do is we're going to talk about the vampires. So I know this has been a much requested video. I get it all the time in stream. I've been waiting to go over this until I saw some vampires on Arena Defense and Arena Offense and kind of gave people some time to build these units and talk about them. I only have the fire one, which is part of the reason why I wanted to wait a little longer, is to see if I was going to pull one of the other ones. Unfortunately, I have not. So we're just going to get into the review. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go over all their skills. And I only have the fire one, but we'll also check in my friends list. I think there's a couple in my friends list that we can play with. So we'll test those out as well. Excuse me. So let's go through the skills of the first one. Ansgar attacks enemies with his rapier or claws. When in his vampire form, healing for a portion of the damage dealt. The lower the current health, the greater the amount healed. Bonus damage based on max HP. Elegant Execution has legendary mortal wounds, which is a multi-hit skill. So swings his rapier 4 times at an enemy, dealing damage and healing for 70% of the damage dealt. Before each strike, teleports to a random location near the enemy, inflicts legendary mortal wounds on the first hit. So it is a multi-hit, but he only does the legendary mortal wounds with the first hit. And then in vampire form, Bat Swarm sends a swarm of bats forward, damages and slows enemies in a cone. So AoE slow is nice. Hungering Swipes lunges forward with his rapier, damaging enemies in his path, can be recast up to 3 times in a row. Each strike damages and steals a buff from the enemy with each hit. The stolen buffs are applied to all allies. Heals for 50% of the damage dealt. So this is a each strike damages and steals debuffs from each enemy. Steals a buff from each enemy. Stolen buffs are applied. So basically, because this is going to be, you can do this multiple times in a row, you're going to be able to steal all debuffs. So the first time he does it, I mean, it kind of depends what buffs are on, but I would assume it would always steal the first buff, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe the first attack could steal like attack buff from one, defense buff from another, and shield from another, and then you don't even need the other 2 skills. Or maybe if all those debuffs are on everybody, it only steals attack and then gets the attack on everybody, and then the second one would be the defense buff, and the third one would be the shield. We would have to test it a little more to find out how that works, but a long story short, you're going to steal whatever your opponent has, you're going to steal it and put it on all of your enemies. All of your allies, which is amazing. So if you're doing Steel Widow, for example, you can use them in Steel Widow. You can steal Invulnerability, put Invulnerability on your entire team, and you're good to go. Or in Arena, if you're up against, say, Water Archangel, you can take that Invulnerability, put it on your entire team. Super, super strong. I don't know about his damage yet, but that's still incredible. And then Vampire Form, summon an aura of shadows, periodically damaging nearby allies. While active, allies inside the aura avoid all damage from basic attacks. Bonus damage based on max HP. And then finally, Lord of the Night sheaths his rapier and takes on his true vampire form, resetting all skill cooldowns, removing all debuffs, and gaining immunity for several seconds. This form causes all of his skills to have different effects, which we already knew. This link drains health and defense from the enemies, transferring them to the vampire. Each enemy's link will break if that enemy moves too far away, stuns enemies that are still linked at the end of the duration. So all in all, really, really strong. Legendary Mortal Wounds is crazy. If you're using them on Arena Offense, that will combat the stall meta. But this stealing buffs is really the one that you want to take a look at. Hopefully we have one on our friends list and we can check that one out. So next up is same first skill. The second skill, instead of the mortal wounds, unfortunately he has lowers attack, which is definitely not as good. He does have withering with his vampire ability, But I don't really see much of a use for Withering just yet. Maybe it'll come into play later. I do like this tri-attack though. Dashes 3 times in the shape of a triangle, damages every enemy hit, heals self for 50% of damage dealt. But in the vampire form ability, summons an aura of shadows, periodically damaging nearby enemies. While active, allies inside the aura are immune to stun, fear, and provoke. Grabs all hostile movement effects. Oh, sorry, including grabs and all hostile movement effects. So, and then the same thing with the ultimate there. He switches over, and but that tri-attack, or well, the vampire form of tri-attack is really strong. The only issue is that he's not only in vampire mode, so he doesn't have unlimited access to this skill. I feel like the nature one's probably the weakest one of the bunch, but we'll have to check. So let's move into the next one. We're going to save fire because that's the one everybody can do for free. Let's go into the dark one. The dark one has the legendary mortal wounds with the slow on elegant execution. Then that same skill here on the tri-attack, which is really, really nice. I kind of like this combination. This Night Terror is different though. Resets all skill cooldowns. This form raises attack speed and raises crit. It causes all of his skills to have different effects. Yeah, we knew the rest of it, right? So having a raise attack speed and raise crit is going to be really, really nice for damage comps. Kind of a nice support. Plus the legendary mortal wounds. Maybe you could make him work, especially with the anti-stun mechanic. Maybe you can make him work in arena offense. Now the light one, I'm sure everybody has been drooling over. The lowers attack, the withering, the steals buffs, and then the immunity. That steals buffs is really the main skill. I mean, the lowers attack is really nice. And the withering, honestly, I feel like the water one's better. Just because, if we go back to the water one, I know light is light, but that legendary mortal wounds, along with the steals buff, is really, really strong. I mean, obviously, I would choose the light over the water, just because it's more rare. But I think if I had to pick one, just in terms of skills, I would probably pick the water one. I prefer that legendary mortal wounds over anything, which brings us to this one, who he has the legendary mortal wounds, except he doesn't have the buff steal, unfortunately. He does have the prevent, stun, fear, provoke, and grabs and hostile movement effects, which is really nice, but he does not have the he does gain his own haste buff, but doesn't really do all that much more with his ultimate. And it's the same one here. So let's go see what we can find. I did try my... Unfortunately, you can't see it anymore. I don't think you can see it anyway. Yeah. So we only have a couple losses here. I changed my defense back to this. But I was running the vampire in this slot, and we got a lot of wins leading up to rush hour. I think it caught a lot of people off guard. So, unfortunately, I can't show you the defense. But what I can do is we can actually attack some people. So we finished rank 11. Let's come in and try and attack some people with him in our offense. So we still need a stun to make Stella ignore defense. He isn't on a damage build, he's on an HP build. He's on HP, HP, HP on Mortal Keen with high crit rate and high crit damage. So the hope is, and he's got some accuracy, so the hope is he lands his legendary mortal wounds. The healers try and heal him, but they can't, and it just makes it easier to kill everything. So the downfall to this comp is that we have no immunity anymore, which kind of sucks. You can see like the healing does take quite a bit longer. Like they're not healing, which is nice. There they did because we didn't get the legendary mortal wounds on until later. He would be a lot stronger if he was max skilled, because he currently is not max skilled. But having the cooldown reduction maxed on him would be game-changing, I think. Because hopefully you'll be able to get 100% cooldown on the Legendary Mortal Wounds if you had him on Adept. So combining the fact that I don't have Adept and the fact that he isn't max skilled is going to reduce the effectiveness of his Legendary Mortal Wounds, but I just wanted to try it anyway. So you can see that works relatively well. All in all, I tried it at higher levels. I had a bit of an issue with staying alive. As you can see there, I take a lot of debuff sometimes because I don't have immunity. So I would maybe have to try like a different comp with him. I know some people are trying him in Arena Offense with different builds and still sort of playing around, but that's kind of what I had in mind, was just trying to prevent the stall meta. If you're having a hard time with beating like the top comps, like if you come to... Here, actually, let's do it this way. I think on my attack list here, yeah. So this isn't as standard, but if you come up across like the standard defense, say, oh, he's got it too now, but this is kind of common. So come up across this, where you have the Magical Girl and the Violet, and you're gonna have a hard time killing that combo. Then hopefully you can put Legendary Mortal Wounds on, which if you use more regular Mortal Wounds, then either of them can cleanse the regular Mortal Wounds. So Legendary Mortal Wounds can't be cleansed, which means that you should be able to go ahead and slowly chip away at any of these units. So maybe I don't need a Stella in here. I actually tried it this way with him, but the Vampire didn't do enough damage to kill high-level defenses by himself. Maybe if he was on a better, like on an attack set or on a hybrid set, he would do enough damage, and then you could use Legendary Mortal Wounds if it was on Adept, and that would work. But I haven't tried it yet. I want to test it out more on Gear Removal Day, but we'll have to see. What we can do actually is we can attack those defenses, so you guys can see how those two units react on defense. That's not a bad idea. So let's put our normal offense in here. This is what I normally run on Arena Offense. You guys have seen me make videos on this. I run this offense on stream all the time. Normally what I would do is I would attack the Violet first. So let's do that first. Keep in mind this water one is the one that steals buffs. So if we put up immunity, he's going to steal our immunity and give it to the entire team. So we have to be really, really careful with that. So fortunately, the Violet died right away. And we're not having too much issues with him doing too much. We'll have to see what happens when we face the other one. I'm surprised he didn't do that much. I faced a couple in Arena that kind of gave me some troubles during Rush Hour. I just don't have any footage of it. Not that they gave me troubles, but they just like... they made things a little more awkward anyway. I think partially because... so here, he stole the immunity from us, and now they have immunity on them, which means we had to strip it. Luckily, we have a strip on our team, so it's not too bad. You can see our Stella's like a little bit low there, and we're kind of, sort of having issues. Now she's dead, and I think we're okay. But like that could potentially cause problems if we get unlucky with stuns or something like that. So it worked out. Now let's move on to I'm in Troubles. So you can see how like these defenses are, for the most part, relatively easy now. But putting these vampires in there, you have to keep in mind they are unskilled still, I would assume. I don't know, maybe these guys had a lot of tutors left over, but odds are they're unskilled. I know I'm in Troubles I asked him about his, and he did say that his vampire still has no skill ups. But at max skills, maybe it'll be enough to make a difference. So let's try and attack him. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to attack the Diva first. Normally when I fight him, I attack the Diva first. If you attack him first, because he has life stealing plus Where are you going? If you attack him first, because he has... that was a bad example. My Greater Demon just decided to go for a walk way across the screen. Maybe we can still win this, but no, not anymore. Alright, that was a weird one. We'll have to see what happens on this next one. I stopped autoing in the hopes that we die faster here, so we can get into the next fight, because we can't beat him anymore without our damage dealer. So hopefully our Greater Demon doesn't act up, so I kind of want to see. We'll attack him again if we have to, but I don't really mind losing. It is right after rush hour, so. But I just want to see kind of what happens when we attack that diva normally. Alright. So this is more everybody's behaving normally. He is doing like decent damage to us, but I think we're going to be okay. Yeah. So this one was fine when our Greater Demon didn't spaz out and run across the screen. I was talking to him because he attacked my defense just before rush, and we were talking about kind of how mine reacted, and he said the first time we fought, he was super tanky and hard to kill, and then the second time he came in and he just wrecked it. So maybe I just got lucky on the first one, or I got unlucky on the second one. It's really hard to tell. Because these are all such new units, nobody really has experience with how things are going to work. So, I mean, yeah, we didn't really have any problems with it here. But again, these are unskilled, and realistically, we never really have problems with arena offense anymore. So this is giving us, I would still say it's giving us more troubles than the standard defenses are. So if it was just a standard defense without him in there, I feel like the defense is stronger now with him in there. Now let's go see if we have any in our friends list that maybe we can try the water one or the light one in Steel Widow, if we're fortunate enough to have one in our friends list. I should have looked before this. So there's a nature one. Valoric has the nature one. I do not see one, unfortunately. Unless I completely missed it, no. Alright, so unfortunately not, but hopefully that gives you guys an idea of kind of what you're doing with yours. I'm going to show you my gear. Mine is crazy tanky. He's got 85k HP, 77 crit rate, and 126 crit damage. He only has 26 accuracy because this skill is really all I'm worried about landing. And legendary debuffs ignore 50% of the enemy's resistance, so you don't need as much accuracy as you normally would. But like looking at this, you can decrease the skill cooldown by 20%, increase healing by 20%, increase healing by 20%, skill cooldown by 10%, and damage by 35%. Like those are a lot. That's a huge amount of buffs just by skilling them up. So maybe give these guys a shot. I think they're all really good. The nature one, not as good, but still is going to probably have some good uses once skilled up. So if you guys have any thoughts on them, or if you've tested them out, please post it down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and also subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you all soon with another video, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great night.